Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Hello Liberia. Today we sit with Kofa Freeman, a young Liberian entrepreneur based in Delaware, USA, striving to achieve his biggest goals and hoping to influence positively young Liberian onlookers. Today we sit in his home and discuss his achievements, his accomplishments, and what his lookout for the future is and how he can involve the Liberian public. We hope you enjoy this journey and we look forward to an open forum discussion where you guys can give your input and support. Let's begin. I said, my people, y'all, hello. How we doing today? I swear everybody bust out in laughter every time I say that, but you know, that's how we speak to each other in Liberia, like how we do it, like how we looking. Yeah, I know that. Oh man, I am so super excited. This is the first ever interview here on Hello Liberia. Welcome, by the way. My name is Lita Renee Nolden. I'm your host. And we have our first guest ever on Hello Liberia to grace our screen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So, can you please introduce yourself to the people?
Okay. Hi, I'm Kofa Freeman. I'm Liberian. I grew up in Ivory Coast. Came here, joined the military, and I've been living a life since then.
Yes. So for all of you out there, Kofa is a phenomenal entrepreneur here in America. And he has a wealth of information on how, you know, the hustle and bustle here in America can be, and starting from grassroots and building it up from there. He actually is the impediment of, hustle and success and struggle and trying to make an impact on the Liberian community here in America. So I'm going to start the question with, can you let the people know what you do for a living or how many things you do for a living?
So right now I would say I do everything. I would say pretty much I do everything. So whatever I can do, I try to do with my time, because I was fortunate enough for the Marine Corps to retire me when I got injured when I was there. So it's since then, instead of going back to work, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to use that retirement money they give me and try to make something of myself. I've been pretty successful in doing certain things, and I've been not quite successful doing certain other things, but I'm still trying. I'm still doing.
Yeah.
So I'm here today.
I like that. And I want to come back to that aspect of everything failure, because I really like to just go in depth when it comes to failure. A lot of people put a negative connotation on failure, but I feel like there's a positive explanation or renderment of failure, which I want to come back to.
Okay.
But you happen to have 3, 4, or 5 different businesses under your sleeves. Can you let our public know how many things you do and how time consuming it can be, and how you progress in doing all those things?
I would say it's very time consuming. All you're really doing is working, because you see the end goal. Nobody else sees what you're seeing, so it takes a lot of time. So that's why a lot of people just want to go back to work. They don't want to be an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur, you really have to be crazy to believe in some of the things you do.
I like that. You got to say that again. What does it entail to be an entrepreneur?
I would say not caring about what anyone thinks about your idea. That's the first thing. Because you can come up with something phenomenal and you'll tell someone, and because it's not their idea, it's not their dream, they didn't think about it, it didn't plan right in their head.
Right.
So they will tell you exactly immediately that might not work.
Right.
And you, being an entrepreneur, you have to be oh no, I thought about this, it's going to work. Because one thing I got from Steve Harvey, and I really like Steve Harvey, he said, you cannot imagine an impossible thought.
Right.
If you thought about something, chances are it can happen.
Right.
Somebody thought about calling someone across the world. That's why we have cell phones today.
Right.
Somebody thought about doing something without wires. That's why we have Bluetooth.
Right.
We have Wi-Fi. So somebody thought about it. So when you have a thought, you got to put all your heart into it because it might work. Just don't give up on it.
So that is really, really interesting. And if you didn't hear that, I'm going to repeat it for you. He said that if you had a thought, chances are it's possible. So no one ever had an impossible thought. And that for me is really instrumental in what we're trying to do here on Hello Liberia, because a lot of young Liberian people, especially back home, they think the only way out or the only way to succeed in our society is to be in politics.
Oh, yeah.
Or, to be like, I don't know, a philanthropist, or like insanely learn to be able to progress.
Yep.
But if you have a simple idea, it starts very simple. It starts with just maybe one effort to like wash somebody's car, and now you have a whole car wash business, So when you have an idea, your biggest limitation is yourself. And a lot of people don't understand that. So you do consulting.
Yep.
You have a clothing line.
Yes.
You co-founded Monrovia Fashion Week America.
Yes.
And what else did you do?
I have a nonprofit, and I'm also doing something else. It's gonna be in Wilmington, so I don't want to like talk about it right now.
Right.
We'll talk about it on a different day. But I'm also like I want to bring our culture here.
Yeah.
Because it's like we have so much to offer, so much to share, but a lot of people just don't know the know-how to do it.
Yes.
And I see a lot of people doing things the way they're doing it, and they think that's the way of doing it.
Right.
Like, you need to study big companies. Like, if you want to be a rapper, don't study the guy who's rapping
mediocre.
Yeah.
Right.
You need to study like model yourself of someone that you admire, like Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z. Like Jay-Z, I listen to Jay-Z all the time. If you listen to Jay-Z, you listen to Jay, there's so many things Jay is in Jay record that you can use.
Correct.
You can actually use.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. But no, I don't see nobody doing that.
That's really funny. And you know what? I like that because if any one of our local Liberian artists are listening, I really think that's a really great idea. Listen and study the big names, because honestly, success is limited. And it goes back to saying that you are your only limitation in life.
Yes.
So you put your own limits on yourself. And we talk about success, we talk about generational wealth and changing lives and reconstructing the mentality of our people. This is how we do it, by starting a conversation.
Yes.
So before I came here, I talked to Kofa over the phone, and I was like, yo, what are we doing? Like, how many things you got going on, and why do you do what you do? Why do you feel the need to talk to young Liberian people? Why do you feel the need to do Monrovia Fashion Week? Why do you feel the need to engage our society as much as you do? And his response to me was, basically, somebody has to give back, or somebody has to make the first step. And it's really inspiring to me, because as a young person, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like we don't have a lot of young examples to look up to. Therefore, people are trying to be an example, but they don't have a template to follow.
No, they don't.
And they don't know how to write that template.
No, they don't. And everyone feel like the way they're doing things is the right way to do things. No one would stop and think about, hey man, maybe let me see what this guy's doing. And it's like, it amazes me about how many Liberians I meet just at parties, at my events, and no one would actually like gauge my mind to see, hey big bro, like, how did you acquire this?
Right.
How did you do this? And one of the best things that happened to me, I had white friends. That was the best thing that happened to me, and I tell people that all the time, because my white friends, granted, it was like, when I started being an entrepreneur, it was actually because one of my best friends, he came up with this crazy idea one day. And you got to learn how to not say no. You got to learn how, when someone come at you with an idea, you got to be like, oh, how can I find like his idea? Because he thought about it.
So not to cut you off, you said two very important things that I want to isolate right now. So he said, first things first is you need to ask the question how. How did you acquire this? How did you get here? What is the process? What's the recipe? Chances are, if you ask for help, help will be granted to you. And then the second major thing that you said is don't say no. Don't say no. You can ask why, but no is your biggest defeat.
It is.
So back to you.
No, and it's like I took no out of my vocabulary for one reason. Like when you study, because I study a lot of billionaires, I study a lot of millionaires because I want to be a millionaire.
Right.
So if I want to be a millionaire, I'm not going to be studying. Who am I going to study?
Thousandaire.
Yeah, I'll be studying. Like I get people like in my everyday life, people I know, like even my family members, even my own mom, and I have to tell my mom, I love you. But what I'm trying to accomplish, you've never been there.
Right.
So you cannot give me advice.
Right.
You can only pray for me.
Right.
And she just learned to accept that. Like,
right.
Okay, baby, you're right.
Right.
Everything you've done so far, everything you're doing so far,
right.
I've never done it.
Right.
I could have, but I didn't. And you're doing it. So
right.
I can't really you can't really advise me on how to go through that door. I have to look at millionaires like Elon Musk, who's practically went broke to create whatever he created.
Right.
I gotta look at Jeff. I gotta look at Bill. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people I gotta study. I gotta study people that's been there, done it. So when I see people, I tell them like you need to study people that is already doing it. So my clothing line, when I decided to do it, I decided 5 years ago to do it. But I wasn't gonna study anyone that's doing it.
Right.
I was gonna study Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, people that on a higher level. Right. Because even if I don't get to that level, I'm gonna be right there where they are because I'm using the same principles they use, same templates. And that's when you talk about templates.
Absolutely. So to get into the different businesses that we can talk about, so there's a story behind every single business that he has ventured into, whether it failed or whether it's a success now. So basically my advice would be, if you want to do something, make sure you have a drive, make sure you have a passion, make sure you have a motivation for what you're trying to do, because chances are if you don't have that drive or that push, you're gonna get bored. You know. So a 9-to-5 is completely different from owning your own business. It requires blood, sweat, and tears, time 24/7. A 9-to-5 clocks out at 5 o'clock. You have a clock in and a clock out. An entrepreneur does not. You're 24/7. You're around the clock. Is your pockets or theirs? So I want to pose this question to you because I know a lot of people want to know why and how. When you started Monrovia Fashion Week, what was your motivation? Why did you want to get involved with, that particular platform?
Monrovia Fashion Week was actually an idea that was pitched to me. So when my crazy best friend pitched me this idea about playing fantasy football when we were getting out of the military, it was like, all right, bro, well, I'm gonna find out the idea because I'm good. I'm really good with numbers. So I was like, I'm gonna find out the idea. This is how we're gonna do it. And the first week we played, the way we did it, we didn't win, and they wanted to quit. Okay. They were like, "Oh, this is not gonna work," and I was like, "It's gonna work because you give me your idea. I finite the numbers, and I'm really good at numbers. I'm like, it's gonna work." So I drove to him, and I was like, "Anyway, it's gonna work." And that night we won $50,000.
Wow.
Crazy. And we split the money. I think I got like 15,700 or something like that, and we started blowing it because I was still in the military. I was getting out. We had a guaranteed paycheck. So I remember like my girlfriend at the time, I came home, I was like, yeah, I want $50,000. She was like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay. I was like, okay. So we started traveling, and then another week, it was like down the road, we won another $50,000. So, but we thought we were gonna make $50,000 every other week. So we just started, we're just blowing the money. Then I remember going to my white friend's house, and his house was bigger than this.
Wow.
And he didn't make.
This is a big house, y'all.
And he didn't make more money than me.
Wow.
I was still living in a 2-bedroom apartment, me and my boy.
Right.
And we looked at each other like, okay, we need to change the way we think.
Yep.
So that started right there. And I give my friend credit every time for doing that for me, because I still would have been living in an apartment, still blowing money the way I used to blow it,
right,
and not going to be an entrepreneur. But
so how did all of that lead to Monrovia Fashion Week?
Okay, so I got tired of partying with different people, because me and my friend would go out, spend thousands of dollars on bottles, but it was always like a Nigerian party,
right,
a Ghanaian party,
right.
And I knew this promoter in Jersey that threw great parties. So I told him, I was like, well, let's have a meeting. So we had a meeting. I told him, I need you to throw me a party. I don't care how much it costs, and I'm gonna give you the money because I just want to come and party,
right,
and just give me my money,
right.
You can keep the profit.
Right.
So he pitched me this idea. Oh man, I don't think we should do a party. I think we should do Monrovia Fashion Week. Like Monrovia Fashion Week exists in Liberia. We should do a year. Blah blah blah. So I asked around, because I do my research. So I asked around, and I made sure like the people from Liberia wouldn't mind us doing it here, because I don't want to be in some type of investment, and you know what I'm saying, and other people own it and stuff like that. So it came out because it was also not an original idea. That's the reason why I decided to do it. Because I don't like doing something that's somebody else's original idea.
Right.
Because if you do something that's somebody else's original idea, they'll own that idea.
Yeah.
They can come after you. So when we did Monrovia Fashion Week the first year was great.
Right.
But we didn't make my money back.
Right.
Because at that time, I didn't know business. He didn't know business.
And before he continues, it wasn't a loss, because I tell people all the time, when you invest in yourself, you never lose. You're going to reap that profit down the line. So tell them what happened. Tell them what happened.
The event was great. The event was great. Everybody came. We even had Kutu Morley, one of the famous designers. Everybody was there. Everybody had fun. But behind the scenes, we really made no money, because
it wasn't a loss, but it wasn't a profit.
No, it wasn't a loss. I would say it was a loss on the money part, but I knew what we had.
Exactly.
Because I was sitting front row looking at everything. So he came. He was very disappointed. He was like, yo, big bro, I'm like, bro, don't worry about it. We good. Like, so this is what I need you to do. I just need you to take the money we made, pay everybody, and we'll go the following year. So the following year, when we did it the following year, I saw the type of things that was going on in Philly. Because Philly is a big market. Right. But Philly is very saturated.
Significantly.
Very. And when I decided to do Monrovia Fashion Week, I wasn't doing it because I wanted to cater to Liberians. I love Liberians to come, but I feel like the American populations, they don't see that culture. Because I'm a Marine. Right. So when I see the Marine doing drills, it's a regular thing to me. Right. A civilian sees it, he's blown away.
It's blown away. Yeah.
So it's like, so that's the concept I use. I was like, okay, I'm gonna move the show to Delaware. And when I told my team, because after the second show, I got a whole new team. I put somebody else in charge because it needed to happen, and because I felt like the person who was in front didn't need to be in front anymore. Okay. And
I like that. See, I don't know if you guys are doing what I'm doing, because when somebody, now all of what he's saying here, I'm taking mental notes. I'll basically recap at the end. But what I just got from what he just said was basically, don't be afraid to regroup. Sometimes, if you're a leader, some feelings are going to get hurt. Oh, yeah. But you have to step back a little bit and regroup. Oh, yeah. Because maybe your cousin just ain't cutting it.
Ain't cutting it, yeah.
So you got to, in order for that, whatever your vision is to come to fruition, to be birthed to the biggest star there could be, you have to be willing to make the cuts.
Yeah, and like it was like certain things I were doing too that I needed to step back, like, and put a new face in front, because it's like there's certain things that even though we have the idea, we're not the one that's supposed to be the face.
Absolutely.
That's the reason why you see Coke. They have a new face every time. It has nothing to do with the person that was there a year before. Right. It has to do with the person that people are appealing to now. Exactly. And I feel like in business, a lot of people don't understand that. They just feel like everything is personal. Business is not personal. Because if I'm losing money and I'm the CEO, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, I have kids. I got somebody. I have trips. You know what I'm saying? I like there's certain things I need to do for me. So if I'm losing money, and as a businessman, I'm not taking losses. I'm learning.
Right.
That's the thing. That's the most important thing in business. You need to learn. You can't just look at everything and, oh, we're going to do the same thing, run it back again. Like, no. You cannot run it back with the same team.
That's funny because I always tell people, Einstein said, and this is not verbatim, but he said that basically doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is stupid. It's basically the definition of stupidity.
Yep, it is.
And so...
It is.
Yeah, and I'm really enjoying this dialogue because the conversations that people need to have in order to move, and a lot of people wonder why Liberia is not doing so well, is because we don't talk about things that needs to be talked about. So then when you regrouped everybody, what happened?
When I regrouped everybody, it was great because I took myself out of the equation and I let the person who was in charge make decisions. So she made decisions on who she was bringing on board. I only made 1 or 2 decisions. So it was like, I know she's good at doing this. I know he's good at doing this. I know he's good at doing this. I'm not a camera guy. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a public speaker. You know what I'm saying? I'm not those things. I'm a CEO. I know how to run a business
from behind the scenes.
From behind the scenes. So I'm gonna step behind the scenes and I'll let you guys do whatever you guys wanted to do. So when they came to me with ideas like, oh yeah, we want to do this, and I'm like, yes. And I say yes so many times that my executive producer was like, bro, you always say yes. You have an opinion. I'm like, bro, because I've thought about that. When you tell me something, I go and do my research. But at the end of the day, you are the duty expert.
Right.
Like, and that's what I love about my military experience, because me as a sergeant in the Marine Corps, I had to rely on 18, 19-year-olds to do things. Right. So when I come to my 19-year-old, he's not 19-year-old in my eyes. Right. He's a lance corporal or he's a corporal in charge of doing something. So when I tell him to do it, I know he's capable of doing it. It's handled. So I don't have to worry about it. And that's the mentality I brought to Warrior Fashion Week.
I love that. And the reason I love that is because, did you know that I think in Africa they said 60 to 70% of our population are young people?
Yep.
So I believe our potential as young people is so overlooked.
It is.
You know? And what he just said is so significant. You know, first he said no is your biggest enemy. But then he said yes a lot. But he wasn't saying yes to just any old thing. Yep. You were saying yes to your research. You already you did your research and then you came back with an answer. Yep. But you're not basing your opinions off of their age, but off of their capabilities, their capacities, their mental abilities to get things done.
Yes.
And I'll tell you guys one thing. Young people run the world right now.
Yes.
We're in the age of social media. Millennials own the nation. Millennials own the continent. Millennials own the earth. Like, we run things. And so dialogues like this need to be had because a lot of people are not coming to terms.
No.
They're not catching up with where we are in the world. In this day and age of 2019, you cannot judge a 19-year-old by their age. Kylie Jenner is 21, 22.
I know.
She's a freaking billionaire.
I know.
So, like, I really like that because our people, our mentality is so stuck on if you're not old with 2 master's degrees, then you can't get it done.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
So that's amazing. And so what was your success with Monrovia Fashion Week?
My success with Monrovia Fashion Week, I believe it was just the reception that people had. It was just like my team did such a phenomenal job, and that's why I tell everybody that it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
All I did is agree to a lot of the things they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like some of the things that some people didn't like, but the majority of people like it. So it was like I gamble on whatever this person is saying. I'm gonna believe that she know what she's doing or he know what he's doing.
Because that's what you're paid for.
So they deliver. Like they deliver. It was beyond my expectations. Like I like Delaware Online. Delaware Online is one of the biggest news outlet in Delaware. And my goal,
I read that.
my goal was to be in Delaware Online in 3 years.
Well, we want to say thank you so much for watching the first part of our first ever episode here on Hello Liberia. We hope that you enjoyed the first part, and we look forward to seeing you next week for the part 2 of this first episode of Hello Liberia. We're so grateful for all of your support. We ask that you continue to stick by us as we interview the greats in our Liberian community. Okay, we'll see you next time. Have a pleasant day.